My parents erased my childhood bedroom and tried to steal my business in front of the whole family. Grandma said, "Your golden son has been embezzling." Here's what no one tells you about growing up as the disappointment in a privileged family. You grow quite comfortable with being invisible. The poor are not invisible, the affluent are. You attend holidays, smile when it's appropriate, and accept that your parents will never gaze at you the same way they do at your golden kid sister. I, a 31-year-old man, have spent the last 7 years manufacturing handmade furniture in a workshop in Red Bank, New Jersey. High-end items included tables that cost more than some people pay for vehicles, seats that took 4 months to create, and work where every joint was critical and every finish had to be flawless. The type of handiwork that demanded time, accuracy, and true expertise. Last month I delivered a conference table to a hedge fund in Greenwich. The guy paid $32,000 without blinking. His wife burst into tears when she saw it. Actual tears. Meanwhile, my folks assumed I was doing arts and crafts. My parents despised it. Every Thanksgiving for the past 6 years, Dad has questioned when I will get serious. Every birthday, Mom received job postings for property management companies. They managed a commercial real estate business in Bergen County that had been in the family for 33 years. Grant, my elder brother, worked there as VP of Acquisitions. My younger sister, Harper, handled investor relations. Grant was the golden child, literally. Mom had a framed photo of him shaking hands with the governor in the main room. My shot was taken in the hallway bathroom. I was the man who worked with his hands, like a peasant. 5 days before Christmas, I traveled up to the family estate in Saddle River. Large colonial circular driveway. I wanted to arrive early this year, help with the setup. Maybe I can finally establish that I belong at the table rather than being tolerated there. Stupid, right? Despite everything, I maintained my belief that family was important. Our housekeeper of 20 years opened the door. She was the only person in the home that smiled whenever she saw me. "Whitaker, nice to see you." "Hey, they are upstairs." She stopped, looked behind her, and quietly said, "Yeah." Inside, Mom and Harper had spreadsheets covering the coffee table, as if they were planning a hostile takeover. "Hey, I'm here." Mom gave a quick peek up. "Leave your coat in the hallway. Do not touch the decorations. The staging company is returning tomorrow." Harper raised his head briefly. "Okay, good. You arrived early. Remember when he would help set up? Every time the furniture was moved, it was done incorrectly." Scratched Mom's antique credenza. It was dismissive and patronizing, as if I were a kid incapable of doing fundamental responsibilities. When I went upstairs to use the bathroom, things started to become odd. My former room, which I had stayed in since I was 8, had someone else's baggage outside the door. It turned out to be for one of Mom's investment friends, who was staying over. When I stepped in, I saw that every personal thing I had left there was gone. Photos, books, and tools were pushed into plastic storage boxes and placed in the corner like rubbish, waiting for pickup. "Mom!" I shouted out. No response. I proceeded to Dad's office to inquire about my room. The door was halfway open. Then I heard my name and froze. "Slides after dessert," Dad said calmly and businesslike. "Keep it brief, no argument." I squeezed against the wall, scarcely breathing. Grant's voice. "Put the salary chart on the TV soon after Dad finishes the introduction. He is unable to say no in front of everyone. That's all I have. But bits were sufficient. Mom. Once he's in, we combine his shop with ours. Control the client list." I took a step back, my pulse hammering, and proceeded to the printer room at the end of the corridor, where there was a stack of handouts in the tray, still warm. Whitaker's career path. I grabbed one up and flipped through it. Charts comparing furniture manufacturer incomes to corporate roles. My name appears in bullet points, with intervention strategy in the heading. They'd even created a PowerPoint titled Objection Handling. They had even assigned tasks. Mom was supposed to soothe me once I regained consciousness. Harper would treat social media optics as if I were a public relations issue to be addressed. $52,000. That's what they assumed I produced. I made $165,000 last year, but they never asked, verified, or assumed. I took one shot, then another, as evidence. I went out of the house without saying anything. I got into my pickup and drove, not sobbing, panicking, or planning. The security gate closed behind me, as seen in the rearview mirror. 20 years of attempting to prove myself to people who had already decided I was not worth their time, done. By the time I arrived at a rest break on the Garden State Parkway, I had already made 4 judgments. First, I was heading to the supper. Second, I plan to let them unleash their trap. Third, I plan to detonate it in their faces in front of everybody. Fourth, I plan to do it quietly. They want a spectacle. I'll give them a show. I contacted Mason, my best friend from college who had helped me set up my studio. He answered promptly. Hey, what's up? I just discovered my whole family's plan to disgrace me around Christmas dinner. PowerPoint presentation, printed handouts, everything. There was a long quiet. Are you joking? I have pictures. Where are you? Parkway Rest Station. I'm going back to Red Bank. What are you going to do? Show up. Let them believe they have me cornered. Then blow it up in front of everyone. However, I am in need of ammo. Real numbers. Proof that everything they believe about me is incorrect. Mason was silent for a second. Come to my apartment. We will create your counterattack. Mason resided in Asbury Park in a converted warehouse loft that he had personally restored. When I arrived, he already had coffee boiling and his laptop open. Talk, he replied, passing me a mug. Those complete jerks, he eventually remarked. All right, you're going to that dinner, but come prepared. That is the plan. Good. What do you need? Financial statements, tax records, a customer list. Anything that shows I'm not the failure they believe I am. They intend to ambush me with bogus figures. I'll bury them alongside real ones. Mason nodded slowly. We can put together a package tonight. Print everything. You walk in with receipts. We literally spent the next 4 hours constructing everything. Tax returns reflect a $165,000 income. Bank documents demonstrating constant deposits, client comments preserved over the years, images of completed works in clients' homes, and a portfolio demonstrating that I was not joking about in business. I was operating it successfully without their assistance, money, or approval. Mason looked up their company's public filings. Dude, their accounts receivable are a catastrophe. They've been bleeding clients for 2 years. He whistled. Your brother did not simply take from them. He sabotaged the entire enterprise while he was at it. Mason even helped me practice what to say as they began their presentation, how to timing the reveal for maximum effect, and where to stand so that everyone could see me when I brought out my packet. This is solid, Mason stated after studying the final package. They display their bogus numbers. You display your genuine ones in front of everyone. Checkmate. Perfect. After we finished, I said it and made the phone call I had been putting off. The one who could alter everything. Hello, Grandma. It's Whitaker. Whitaker, this is a surprise. Her tone was kind yet guarded. Is everything all right? Not quite. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen. I told her everything. The presentation, the fabricated wage figures, and the plot to coerce me into the firm. When I finished, she remained silent for a long time. Your father called me yesterday asking for a substantial loan, she eventually remarked. When I probed him about why, he became evasive. Now I understand. Her voice became harsh. Grant has stolen from them, hasn't he? That's what this is all about. My stomach sank. How do you know? I've suspected for months. When Richard discussed the business, the numbers never added up. She paused. To make up for their losses, they plan to attack you and seize your business. Appalling. I'm going to supper, Grandma. I'm going to let them do their little intervention, and then I'll reveal everything in front of the entire family. Another pause. Then, good. And I will be there to back you up. Will you? Absolutely. It's time to hold them accountable. Her voice sounded like iron. Do not take any calls from them before supper. Let them believe everything is normal. And Whitaker, do not hold back. I won't. We hung up. I had my ammo. I had an ally. Now I only had to wait. I spent Christmas Eve in my workshop, finishing a commission and trying to be calm. My phone continually buzzed. Mom's phoning. Dad is phoning. I disregarded it all. Let them ponder. Allow them to sweat. That evening I went back up to Saddle River, parked in the circular driveway, and stepped inside as if nothing had happened. The house was full. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family, and acquaintances all dressed up. The annual Whitaker Christmas dinner is in full swing. Mom noticed me first. Relief filled her face. Whitaker, you arrived. We were concerned when you did not answer your phone. I was swamped with work, you know how it is. She did not know. She had never asked. Dinner was the typical performance. The meal is expensive. Fake laughing. Dad is holding court at the head of the table. Grant was making sure everyone was aware of his latest contract. Harper mentions investors. And I'm sitting quietly, waiting. After dessert, Dad stood up and clinked his drink. If I could get everyone's attention. Before we head into the living room, I'd want to share something unique. A presentation on our family's future. Here we go. Everyone moved into the living room, where a projector was already set up. I picked a seat in the back. My grandma caught my gaze from across the room and gave me a little nod. Dad went into his speech. The company's legacy. The significance of family unity. The necessity for everyone to participate. Grant then stepped forward with the clicker. As many of you know, Whitaker has been pursuing alternative career paths. He grinned at me patronizingly. We've compiled some information to help him see the big picture. The first slide emerged. Whitaker's career path. Charts displaying furniture manufacturer salary, national averages, and my name in bullet points. $52,000 in large red letters. As you can see, Grant added. The ceiling for this type of art is really restricted. Meanwhile, our family company provides real development opportunity, advantages, and stability. That's an interesting number, I replied, getting up. Where did you acquire this? Grant blinked. Industry averages. Standard research. Really? Because according to my tax filings, I earned $165,000 last year. I removed the packet from my jacket. Do you want to see? The room became quiet. You could hear ice settling in cups. I have bank statements too. Customer testimonials. Photos of things I've made that sold for more than some people's automobiles. I walked toward the front, making sure everyone could see me. But please, keep going. Tell everyone about my failed hobbies. Dad walked forward. Whitaker, now is not the time, is it? You set up a whole presentation, printed handouts, even made a slide called Objection Handling. I was holding up my phone. I have photographs of everything in the printer tray. Do you want me to share them with everyone in the room? Mom's face became white. Harper's mouth fell. Here's what's actually happening, I began, turning to face the gathering family, each aunt, uncle, cousin, and family friend staring at me with wide eyes. The corporation is insolvent. They're losing money. And instead of admitting it, they plan to humiliate me into joining so they could use my business to bail themselves out. The aunts gasped. Murmurs from the cousins. One of my uncles whispered, Jesus Christ, beneath his breath. That's not true, Harper yelled. Really? I gazed at her. So the firm is doing nicely. No cash flow issues. No investor concerns. Dad didn't contact Grandma yesterday and ask for a loan. Silence. Dead. Devastating quiet. My grandma stood up. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. It's worse than that. Her voice pierced through the room like a knife. I had sensed for months that something was awry with the company's finances. Richard phoned me recently, asking for a large loan. When I pressed him, he confessed that there were abnormalities. She stared directly at Grant. 4 years of irregularities. Grant's face became pallid. His hand, which held the clicker, began to shake. Your golden child has been embezzling, she added, her voice echoing around the room. And rather than deal with it honestly, they decided to drag Whitaker into their mess, use his clean reputation, steal his client list, and fold his legitimate business into their failing one. On Christmas Eve, right in front of everyone. The room erupted. Everyone is chatting at once. Accusations fly. One of my aunts rose up and began gathering her belongings. My cousin took out his phone and probably texted everyone who wasn't present. My uncle, who had always agreed with my parents on everything, stood up. Richard, tell me right now, is this true about Grant? Dad could not even look at him. My uncle grabbed his coat. For 33 years, I defended you to my wife. It's been 33 years. He walked out. His wife followed. Then 2 more cousins. Dad attempted to restore control. This is a family business. We should not be discussing. You made it family business when you planned to humiliate your son in front of everyone, my grandma said. You should feel embarrassed. All of you. Grant, Harper, and especially you, Richard. This youngster created something tangible while you were busy coddling a criminal. I gazed at my parents, brother, and sister. They had spent years making me feel useless. People who assumed I would simply accept their crumbs. I built something real, I whispered gently, but everyone heard. Without your help, without your approval, without your respect, and you thought you could just take it because you needed a bailout. Mom began weeping. Dad's cheeks became crimson from shame. Grant seems to want the floor to devour him. I went toward the door. Whitaker, wait, Mom instructed, grabbing for my arm. I drew away. Don't, we're finished here. I stepped outside into the chilly December night, the sound of mayhem still emanating from the home behind me. Got into my pickup, drove. After 2.5 hours, I pulled into a cabin driveway in the Poconos. My phone continually buzzed. Mom, Dad, Harper, Grant. I disregarded it all. Let them panic. Allow them to try damage control. The truth had finally out, and it was spreading like wildfire across the family. My grandma texted me, "I'm proud of you." They are still reeling. Half of the visitors departed after 25 minutes. Your father attempted to save the evening, but no one was having it. Call me tomorrow. One from the housekeeper. Mr. Whitaker, I packaged your items carefully. They will be in the garage when you are ready. Well done tonight. They needed to hear it. Christmas morning in the Poconos seemed like waking up in another life. My phone seemed possessed. I read through messages while drinking coffee, each one more gratifying than the last. Dad. Your mom is distraught. This prank reflects negatively on your judgment. We need to talk about this as a family. Harper. You have always been selfish, but this is the next step. You embarrassed us in front of all. Pathetic. Grant. Do you genuinely believe you're somebody exceptional now? All you did was embarrass your family. This is not over, little brother, not even close. That final one had me laughing, still posturing. He still believed he had leverage. I removed it without replying. Another message from my grandmother. Last night, half the family phoned me. The majority are disgusted with your parents. Several cousins want to order furnishings from you. Your aunt claims she was always aware that Richard was a phony. Well done. I remained in the Poconos through New Year's. Used the time to plan. I devised a growth plan, developed drawings for additional items, and even wrote proposals for a gallery display in additional York. For the first time in years, I was able to think about the future without being weighed down by my family's criticism. You're going to need help, Mason told us one afternoon as we worked at the cabin table. You can't manage the demand alone, not after what occurred on Christmas. Word is going to spread. People are going to want pieces from the guy who told off his entire family. I understand. I am thinking of employing someone. Maybe 3 individuals if the gallery idea works out. Are you scared? I'm terrified, but also ready. For the first time in my life, I feel prepared. Back at Red Bank on January 4th, my workshop seemed quite different. Fresh eyes. There are 27 new queries pending. A gallery in Tribeca wanted to talk about representation, and I had lunch planned with my grandma on the 10th. The elderly Whitaker would have been concerned about visiting family. The new Whitaker was really looking forward to it. January 10th, restaurant in Montclair, classy and quiet. She was already sitting when I arrived, sharp-eyed and straightforward as usual. She rose to hug me. Whitaker, you look well. Thanks, Grandma. We got through small conversations swiftly. Then she placed down her menu and stared directly at me. I owe you an apology, she explained. For what? For not saying something sooner. I knew how they handled you. I saw that for years. Should have intervened rather than waited. You weren't part of their plan. No, but I made it possible with my silence. She drank her iced tea. That's over now. I made it obvious to your parents that their actions were inappropriate. Informed your extended family that you own a reputable, prosperous business. How did they take it? She grinned faintly. Your mom sobbed. Your father became defensive. I ordered them to be calm and listen once. I laughed. I'm updating my will, she added. You will get 45% of my estate. Your siblings divided the remaining 55%. Not recompense for their wickedness. You have merely proven yourself. Grandma, you don't need to. I am not requesting permission. I'm informing you. She gave me a smile of pride. You remind me of myself when I was your age. Everyone had thoughts on what I should do. I disregarded them and established my own accounting practice. Best decision I've ever made. I didn't know that. Your family never mentions it. Doesn't fit their story. She hesitated. I am also investing in your business, not charity. A legitimate business choice. 18% equity in exchange for funding to grow. I gazed at her. You're serious? Completely. I checked your website and personally contacted 4 of your purchasers. Your stats are fantastic. The growth potential is significant. She grinned. You're a good investment. And I anticipate quarterly reports. I'm an involved investor. We discussed specifics over lunch. Her contribution would allow me to recruit 3 staff, improve equipment, and lease a suitable showcase location. One more thing, she said as we concluded. Your mother will attempt to reach you. Apologies and manipulation. Whatever you decide, remember that you do not owe them forgiveness simply because they are family. You owe yourself respect. I'll remember that. She grasped my hand. Good man. The following 3 weeks were explosive. I hired 3 men who were both talented and hungry. Set up correct procedures, managed inventories, and implemented mechanisms for tracking commissions versus gallery items. Mid-January, my phone rang. Dad. I almost did not respond, but I was interested. Hello, Whitaker, it's your father. I know. A long silence. I'm calling because we need to discuss what happened at Christmas. How about it? You humiliated us in front of our entire family. You made accusations. I told the truth, I interjected. There's a difference, Whitaker. I realize you're furious, but you need to think about this practically. We're dealing with investor worries and cash flow challenges. Dad, why did you really want me to join the family business? Silence. I'm not stupid, I said. You aren't providing this out of care. What is truly going on with Grant? More stillness, then carefully. The firm is undergoing an audit. We are investigating some accounting irregularities. Irregularities. That's how we describe 4 years of embezzlement. We don't know that for certain. Grandma does, and now so does everyone else. I let it dangle there. You plan to humiliate me into joining a company that's hemorrhaging money because your golden boy stole from you, and you're too proud to admit it. That is not what this is about. Yes, it is. And the answer is still no. Handle your own mess. I hung up. February provided momentum. Following our successful initial meeting, the Tribeca Gallery organized a display. My boys stepped up. 14-hour days with precise joints and impeccable finishes. Then reality struck. Manhattan client contacted to renegotiate $14,500 dining table price after delivery. The finish is not what I expected. $9,500 seems reasonable. I have the signed spec sheet. Take 9.5 or I'll dispute the charge. Hung up. I called a lawyer. Certified letter threatening a breach of contract action. Client paid in whole within a week, with a written apology. Running a business entailed battling for what you had earned. 3 weeks before the solo concert, things turned nasty. Grant arrived in my workshop unannounced. He just strode in as if he owned the place. I was almost finishing up a walnut credenza when I heard the door open. I looked up, and there he was. Same arrogant expression, same fancy outfit, same bright kid energy emanating from him like a sickness. Nice setup, he commented, glancing around. Quaint. Get out. Relax. I'm here to discuss business. He took up one of my chisels and examined it as if he understood what he was looking for. He did not. The auditors completed their preliminary report. Dad is in full panic mode. Mom is on Xanax. Harper refuses to stop sobbing. Still not my problem. He went by my workbench, running his finger over the edge of a piece I'd been working on for 7 weeks. 900 hours of effort. Be careful, I replied. That's worth more than your car. His jaw stiffened. It was the first time I had received a genuine reaction from him. Here's the thing, little brother. He placed down the chisel and looked me in the eyes. It doesn't need to be ugly. Family cares for family. You bring me in as a partner at 55-45 and we call it even. I handle operations. You do your small woodworking project. I actually laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious. I have business experience. You do not have any connections. I can take this business to a new level. You took millions from the family firm and now you want half of my business? His expression stiffened. I did not steal anything. There were cash flow concerns, accounting with a twist. Things became complex. The auditors had a different perspective. The auditors don't know the whole story. He moved closer. I am providing you a lifeline here. Take it. Get out of my workshop. Think carefully, Whitaker. You make me an enemy. Things get tricky. I know people, investors, clients. I can make phone calls that will bury your small interest in a week. Are you threatening me? He grinned and said, I'm giving you options. The same patronizing smile as Christmas. 55-45. Final offer. I don't hire thieves, and I definitely don't make them partners. His smile faded. You'll regret this. Get out now. He walked away. But something told me it wasn't over. 4 days later, it began. A client contacted to cancel his commission. He stated that he had heard concerns regarding my business methods. Then, another cancellation. Then an unfavorable review surfaced online. Someone I had never worked with alleged that I had delivered faulty items. The bogus reviews became imaginative. One person said I showed up to a delivery inebriated. Another stated, I'd made a pass at some guy's wife. All of these accounts were created within 72 hours of Grant's arrival. All with no history, no prior reviews, and no credibility among those paying attention. But they appeared on Google. That was what mattered to him. I called Mason. Grant's going scorched earth, I told him. Cancellations. Fake reviews. He's attempting to undermine my reputation. Document everything, he stated. Screenshots, timestamps, the works. Already on it. Then the calls began. It's middle of the night. Blocked numbers, heavy breathing. Then disconnect. 4 to 5 times every night. I began sleeping with my phone on quiet. 10 days later, I returned to my workshop and discovered the lock had been tampered with. Nothing was stolen, but the tools were moved around. A message. I am watching. That's when I contacted the cops. The officer sat across from me and took notes. Do you feel your brother is to blame? I'm sure he is. He threatened me around 3 weeks ago. Demanded that I give him half of my business. When I declined, things began. Have you got proof? I showed him everything. Text messaging. The phony review came from an account made the day following our incident. The telephone records. At 2:30 a.m., surveillance footage from across the street showed a person that matched Grant's physique approaching my business. We can file a report, he told me, but without direct evidence linking him to the break-in attempt. What about harassment? What about the calls? What about business interference? He gazed at me intently. You might want to consider a restraining order, given the pattern. I filed the next day. A temporary restraining order has been issued against Grant Whitaker. I had to go to court, show facts, and explain why I was concerned for my safety and livelihood. The judge studied everything: a menacing visit, systematic harassment, an attempted break-in. Granted, she said, Mr. Grant Whitaker must keep a distance of 750 feet from the petitioner and his place of business. No contact of any kind. When Grant was served, he lost it. He contacted me from a burner phone, yelling about treachery, how I had ruined the family, and how he would hold me accountable. I taped the entire incident. I filed a violation report the following day. The burner phone call lasts 5 minutes. He called me every single name in the book. They threatened to burn down my workshop. He said he had buddies who could make things disappear. I allowed him to speak freely. Every word is recorded. Every danger is documented. He was so enraged that he forgot I had always been the silent one. The calm person who listened. The calm person who remembers everything. Second court appearance. The judge was not pleased. Mr. Whitaker, she said, looking at Grant, you were clearly warned not to contact your brother. You breached the order within 24 hours. Your Honor, this is a family matter. It's a legal issue now. You are facing contempt charges. I'm extending the restraining order for 3 years and imposing criminal consequences for any future violations. Grant's lawyer attempted to argue. The judge shut him down. His lawyer appeared to want to escape, possibly thinking how he would explain this to his other clients. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt something unexpected. Not victory. Not satisfied. Just clarification. I drew a line, defended it, and won. My solo show at Forge and Grain was all I'd hoped for. High-end area, in a remodeled warehouse. Professional lighting made each item shine. My collection filled the entire main room. Each sculpture is wonderfully illuminated against bare brick walls. 7 years of labor. 7 years of being informed that I was squandering my life. All of it was validated in one room. I arrived early to set up. My 3 staff were already there, positioning things, confirming sight lines, and ensuring everything was perfect. We had been working on this for months. Are you ready? One asked. As I'll ever be. At 7 o'clock, guests began to arrive. Gallery owners from Manhattan. Collectors had flown in from as far as San Francisco. Design bloggers with cameras. Interior designers are looking for talent. The room filled quickly. The energy was electrified and potentially usable. I worked it organically. Talking about the procedure. Explanation of methods. Connecting with consumers who knew what true workmanship entailed. A collector from San Francisco purchased 4 pieces on the spot. We paid the asking price without bargaining. I've been looking for someone who still does real joinery, he informed me. Everyone else is just gluing IKEA parts together and calling it bespoke. We shook hands. That one transaction covered my operational expenses for 4 months. My grandma walked in around 7:45. Alone. She noticed my gaze and grinned. I walked over. "Where is the rest of the family?" I asked. "Your father and mother chose not to attend. Too humiliated following Grant's court appearance. Harper remained with them." She looked around at the audience. "Grant is already forbidden from being within 750 feet of you due to the restraining order. I heard he tried to show up but was turned away." That was news to me. Security must have dealt with it before I noticed. "The show looks spectacular," my grandma commented. "I'm very proud of you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your support during Christmas. I wouldn't have missed either." She gripped my hand. "Your work speaks for itself. You do not need their permission." "You never did." The concert lasted till 11:30. By the time we closed, I had received orders for $79,000, not including the gallery's fee. 3 interior designers wanted to feature my work exclusively in their showrooms. 2 private clients requested unique home offices created from the bottom up. April stretched into May. Grant's situation became public. Criminal charges were brought, not simply restraining order breaches, but also embezzlement. It turned up that the auditors found everything. 4 years of forged paperwork, dummy corporations, and channeled contracts. The whole operation was detailed in court files that became public record. I saw things unfold from a distance. The family firm was losing clients faster than they could count. Civil claims from investors are stacking up. The beautiful family image has been ruined. Everyone understood exactly why. My cousin forwarded me the news story. A Bergen County real estate executive has been charged with embezzlement. Grant's mugshot. Dad's firm is titled. $4 million in money were misdirected. The golden child had been stealing for years, and they attempted to use me to hide it. Summer brought up more commissions than I could handle. We recruited 5 additional employees and began turning down jobs. The brownstone job in Brooklyn generated recommendations. The recommendations resulted in magazine features. The features generated more referrals. Success builds on itself, relying on skill rather than manipulation. Late June, Mom phoned. First time in 7 months. This is the first time I've exposed them in front of everyone at Christmas dinner. I had wondered how long it would be before desperation surpassed pride. I let it ring twice before responding. "Hello, Whitaker, it's Mom." Her tone was odd. Smaller. Fragile in a manner I hadn't heard before. The lady who had spent years rejecting all I'd accomplished now sounded like she was barely keeping it together. "Can we talk?" "About what?" "Everything. What occurred during Christmas. What your dad and I did. What we did not do. The years we wasted treating you as if you were inferior." She stopped, and I could hear her trying not to cry. "I'm calling to ask for help." "What about the company? What about the lawsuits? Grant's legal fees? Everything's falling apart," she explained. Her voice crackled. "We made errors, Whitaker. Terrible errors. But we are still family. That must count for something. You intended to embarrass me and take my business in front of everyone we knew. That is not an error. That is a strategy. We were desperate. We were afraid. We weren't sure what else to do. So after years of calling it a hobby, a phase, a sandbox, now suddenly it's valuable enough to steal." Silence. "Whitaker, please, I understand we don't deserve it. But we need you. Your father is hardly functional. Harper is overwhelmed. Grant is facing incarceration." She paused. "We discussed it as a family. After Grant's legal difficulties are resolved, you bring him in as a partner. 55-45. He needs something to return to. He can handle operations while you work on your woodwork." I nearly laughed. The boldness was nearly astounding. Even after the harassment, threats, restraining order and criminal charges, they still wanted me to help him. "Help me comprehend this. Do you want me to surrender half of my company to the brother who threatened me? The brother who hounded my clients? The brother who attempted to break into my studio? The brother I had to obtain a restraining order against? And the golden kid who wrecked everything? He is still your brother. He needs a fresh start. And frankly, you owe this family something." "I don't owe you anything, and I have a 3-year restraining order that states he cannot come within 750 feet of me or my company. So even if I wanted to, which I don't, it would be technically unlawful. We can work around that. Get it modified." "No, Whitaker." I grinned, actually smiled, not furious, not bitter, just finished. "I don't hire thieves and I definitely don't make them partners." The stillness extended. When she spoke again, her voice sounded empty. "I don't know what else to say." "There is nothing to say. You made your decision. You now live with them. I am not here to bail you out. I am not Grant's safety net. I am the son you rejected. And I created something substantial without you. Can we at least meet? Talk in person? No. We're done here, I hung up. Harper texted around 2.5 hours later. You are ripping this family apart. I hope you are pleased. I took a screenshot. I added it to my collection. Then I returned to work on a commission for a restaurant in the Hamptons. $26,000 cash on delivery. Yeah, I was really pleased. Dad called and asked if we could meet. His voice sounded strange. Defeated. Broken in ways I'd never heard before. The man who was always in command, always had a plan, and understood how to manipulate a crowd. That man was gone, I agreed. A modest restaurant in Montclair on neutral territory. This is the type of area where no one would know us. There is no family reputation to protect. There is no picture to preserve. Just two people who needed to talk about something that has been on their minds for years. He strolled in appearing as if he had aged 12 years. Suit wrinkly, tie crookedly. The man who had always been neatly dressed, who had lectured me on appearance and professionalism, suddenly looked like he had been sleeping in his car. He sat down firmly, as if the weight of all that had occurred was physically crushing him. Thank you for meeting me, he said. You want to talk? He nodded, ordered coffee, and drew a deep breath. Grant accepted a plea agreement last week. 24 months of federal minimum security. The family company filed for bankruptcy. We are liquidating assets, selling the estate. Everything is gone. He looked at